All right, here's our next card. This one uses some fun copper embossing and some sequins along with the tall tree and our pine wood planks folder. So let me get the supplies for this and we'll get started. All right, here's our supplies. We have a piece of soft suede that's 8.5 by 5.5. That's going to be our card base. So we'll just go ahead and fold that in half. Get a bone folder for the nice crisp fold. A 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of crumb cake. A scrap of Very Vanilla for the tree. 1 1/4 by 4 inch piece of Very Vanilla for the sentiment. A 1 1/2 by 4 inch piece of copper foil sheet that will layer behind this. And I think that is it besides our metallic sequins here. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to the Big Shot and I'm going to run it through with our pine wood planks folder. And as you've seen me do before, I do like to spritz my cardstock with some rubbing alcohol before I run it through. I just find that it gives a deeper impression, and since it's rubbing alcohol, it's going to dissipate faster, and therefore it's not going to compromise the integrity of my cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and run to the Big Shot, run this through, and I'll be right back. All right, here we are. And here we have that nice deep impression of that wood grain panels. Very cool. And that's going to just layer right here on the front of the card. We need to stamp our tree. So I'm going to ink it up in some Tranquil Tide. All right, we're going to take the tree image and we're going to ink it up, just the tree part, the top of the tree. And then I'm going to bring in my soft suede Stampin' Write marker, and I'm just going to try to get the rest of that trunk in the soft suede. Okay, go ahead and stamp that on our piece of Very Vanilla. And now I'm going to go ahead and take this over to the Big Shot and die cut that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here we have our tree. Go ahead and put that away so I don't get my finger in it. And we need to bring in our little sentiment. And the sentiment is from the Waterfront stamp set. I've got the Friends Make Good Times Better image here. I'm going to bring in my Versamark pad. So I'm going to ink that up really well. I've got my copper embossing powder also in my little embossing tray. And the tray is just something that Stampin' Up! Used to sell many, many years ago. So I happen to still have one. All right, so I'm going to stamp my sentiment about right there. Okay, and then we're going to cover it with some copper embossing powder. And I like to kind of scoop it up, 1 or 2 times, making sure that I get some good coverage on that. Okay. So now I'm going to take this over to my embossing tool, my heat tool, and I'm going to heat set that, and I'll be back. All right, here we go. So we've got our Friends Make the Good Times Better there. Put my ink pad away. I'm going to layer this onto the piece of copper foil. Get my glue started here. Oh my heavens. It's not wanting to come out. Oh, maybe it's clogged. I do have these little needles sitting here just for this purpose. If my glue gets clogged, then I can just press that onto a needle and get some glue to come out. Okay, so this is going to go right to the edge on both ends, and then just equal distance, from the top and the bottom. And the struggle is real. I just realized I don't have my glasses on. So, okay. And then we're going to add this to the front of the card here on the embossed panel. About like so. That even? Sometimes I can't tell. I think it is. Okay. And then this is going to go onto the main card base. And when I use, embossing folders on cardstock, I definitely like to use liquid glue with that, because I find that sometimes the snail just doesn't hold that well. Okay, so we've got that. Go ahead and add the tree. Get a couple dimensionals on here at the top. And we can try, these are some of my leftover paper pumpkin mini dimensionals, and I'm just going to try to snip a tiny little piece off to get it on the trunk down here. I don't want it to show, so I'm going to go ahead and snip there. That should work. Okay, we'll peel the backings off of all these little guys. There we go. And we will go ahead and place the tree about like so. And then the final thing we need to do is to get out some copper sequins. And I've got our brand new Take Your Pick tool here. And this Take Your Pick tool is really cool. It's got this little putty end on it. And here is what that looks like. And you just screw that in, and you don't want to screw it in too tightly, because as the more you screw it in, the more putty is going to be pushed out. So I do try to leave mine just a little bit loose because I don't want to waste my putty. But when your putty gets yucky, you can just peel it off, screw this down a little farther, and then you can have a little more putty come out. And you can buy refills for this also. Then the other end is just kind of a spatula tip tool on one end. Unlock it. You've got a piercing tool on the other. Just a super handy tool that I'm really excited about. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a few dots of glue to my card here. Okay, and I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to pick up my sequins, how easily that works out. And actually, I could use my little spatula end here to get those off of the Take Your Pick tool. Whoops, I got two there. I don't want two at the same time. There we go. Pick that up. So this is just a super awesome tool. So excited. Okay, there we have the sequins. Everything is done, and so we are finished. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next card.